So welcome everyone to this session on fraud risk management in digital era. Myself, Dr. Rakesh Agrawal, Secretary General, Risk Management Association of India. So in this age of digital revolution, technology plays a pivotal role. And as the technology grows, the risk associated with the technology also multiplies. So previously we had a session on cybersecurity. So we thought of organizing a session on fraud risk management. So today we have two experts from the industry, from the field, to demystify the concept of fraud management and what are the possible risks that we face, and what are the possible strategies that we can have to control the risks. So before moving to our session, I would invite Yukti Agrawal to just give a brief introduction about RMAI. So mostly we have our known members, but still for the new members who are joining, a brief introduction for them. Yukti, please.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So, Risk Management Association of India is a global body dedicated to education, research, and development on risk management. So sorry, just a second. So we have created a common platform for risk professionals, insurers, bankers, corporates, and other related professionals to exchange views, identify trends, explore avenues for risk literacy. And we have engaged and collaborated with professionals and academic organizations for spreading awareness and providing career development programs for all. So we have already developed a network of subject matter experts, as we have here, and industry veterans who can render advisory and consultancy for a sustainable growth-oriented business environment. So some of the activities we conduct, like this one is an online webinar. So we have various awareness initiatives through various channels and platforms. We also conduct research and development through technical paper writing contests, and we all, of course, publish quarterly bulletin for members and books on risk management. We have various advisory services on risk management as well. Some of the online webinars we have conducted in 2020 to 2022 here. Then here are some of our partners. We already have BIMTech, the Insurance Times, Bima Bazaar, and various organizations. Then moving on to our group associates and patrons. So we have a very respected group of professionals and organizations here. So we have the Insurance Times, Banking Finance, which have been in the industry for 42 years. Then we have Sashi Publications, the Insurance Training Center. Moving on to our governing council members, we have all of these amazing people. Then here are the advisory council members on board with us. Some of the RMAI industry experts who have joined us. Then this is the main course of the Risk Management Association of India. So we have launched a 30-hour online certificate course on risk management, which is a joint certification by RMAI and the AICP London. So you can see as the course flow is about 8 weeks, and we have an online course for 30 hours, which is 8 modules of the course covering various areas.
Just to interrupt, recently Mr. Manoj Pandey and Mr. Pratik Pridarshi has also joined in our academic council. So they are also lending a good hand for our activities and our initiatives.
Then our upcoming courses and MDT programs, some of the examples are given here. So we have the banking and financial intermediation, which covers concepts, risks, capital, and regulation. We have fraud risk management in the financial sector. We have online certificate courses in health insurance and various other sectors like vitality insurance, liability insurance, and other specialized areas. We are, of course, committed to excellence as our body here. And yeah, that's about Risk Management Association of India. Then I would
Thanks.
like to, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Yukti, for the introduction. Now, I'd request Shyam Agrawal to just give a brief biodata of our today's experts. And post the session, we will have a brief question and answer session where all the participants can put their questions in the chat, or we can unmute them to ask the questions.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to welcome both the speakers. So to start with, Mr. Ajay Kumar Kanth, he brings in around 20 years of experience in financial services, including life insurance and general insurance companies. He has handled various roles in legal compliance, secretarial, and market conduct and fraud mitigation. Our another speaker is Mr. AC Velankannan. Velan has been in the corporate space for more than 18 years and managing national level roles of risk, audit reviews, training, and consulting. His eye for detail has been appreciated, resulting to crack good projects and fraud cases. So, as it is a virtual webinar, I would just like to welcome both the speakers with a small virtual bouquet. Welcome on our platform.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So, handing over to Mr. Ajay,
Yeah.
so we can take the session forward.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you.
So, thanks a lot, Rakesh ji, RMAI, and all the participants, friends from across. And as I was told that it's also participants are also from Nepal and Bangladesh. So it's an honor for us to be part of this. And thanks once again for giving this opportunity. So me and my colleague Velankannan will share this particular session. And I'm sure there would be lots of queries which we can take later on. And this is just a kind of a area where it's seeing the experience which we have. So what I can share with you all is our experience on the field in the corporate section and the evolving frauds which are there right now. So as you know, this particular session is on digital era, fraud in digital era. We are having so many other kind of frauds also which are related to physical stuffs, but as you all know that the fraudsters are continuously evolving, and the frauds which were prevalent few years, not only few years but few months itself, even if it is few months, it has evolved such that there are new kind of frauds, new kind of methodologies adopted, modus operandi and all. So if we are not tuned, or if we are not prepared or alert, it will be very hard for us to catch these fraudsters. You also know that fraudsters are above us. They are beyond us. They keep on evolving, and we catch up. We do a catching up game. So there had been changes. There had been changes in the industry. There had been changes in entire BFIS as well as other corporates, and the concerns and the has been taken note of, and the management has been giving a serious look at it. And it's not only the business which is important, but fraud, mitigation of the fraud, and control of it, and building the tools to not only be reactive now. It's the time not to be reactive, but also proactive. So what are the methodologies? What are the mitigation steps, the controls which one can build? And the disclaimer which I can give is these are only suggested way. Like as we are talking right now, there may be certain frauds which are going on. There are certain fraudsters who are working on different kind of methodologies or modus operandi. So we need to first catch up with them and then move ahead. So we need to be having a management of the mitigation, not only at the prevention, detection, as well as the response. So all these things taken together, we are moving on to the digital era, and You all know that there has been a transformation and towards the digital technologies and tools and systems, and rightly so, because it eases your work. It actually makes it more faster, more easier, more effective in and streamlining the areas of control as well as other areas of business as well, whether it is onboarding of the customers, interacting with them, providing them the services. But as also it is important to have those control tools within the organization to support that, or else it will be just at the front end, and the later on we will be just doing the catch up. Secondly, it's also very important to point out here that it's not only the technology. It's because many a times we forget that okay, we'll bring some tools, new systems, new gadgets, apps, and it will take care of the frauds, and it will not only manage it, control it, mitigate it, everything. We forget that it's the people who manage it, it's the people who build it, it's people who take it forward, it's people who use these technologies. So unless and until we have the alert, trained human force, uh, just depending on the digital technologies and all will not suffice. So it should be a mix of or balance of the technology and alert and trained human force. So with that, I'll just start with the next slide. So here we are talking about, I'll just touch base of definitions and all. I'm sure most of you would be knowing about it. And if we go into much details, it will be another session kind of just on the definition part. And there are lots of confusion. There are lots of things in that. And then we'll go on the how it has evolved, the digital, the frauds in digital era. Then the tools, technologies, or mitigation control mechanism which one can adopt, and then the red flags as well as some case studies. So I'll just move into the definition part. See the definition, if you go, there is a one universal definition in India of fraud that is only provided in Indian Contract Act, so which states, that is section 17 of Contract Act, which talks about what exactly the, so if there is a specific definition of fraud, it comes under Contract Act, which is any act which is committed by the parties to the contract or his agents, or with his involvement, or any other party which are directly or indirectly linked to them to gain something which is not due to them. It is an unlawful gain. So the financial, mainly people related to the financial gains, but there are other aspects also, which so it's not only limited to financial gains. For example, I'll just give you in the with our experience that it's also relates to the promotion, the other aspects of the employees, or the meeting the targets, meeting some kind of financial distress, some kind of other pressures, because of which also they do or engage in these kind of frauds. So without wasting much of a time, and we can take those questions later on, and not only pertaining to just this session, but in future also, if you have any query or anything, you all can get in touch with us. So this particular theory of fraud diamond, it's a very you can say it's a basic framework on which, or the touchstone of on which any fraud you can test. You all may be aware about the fraud triangle, which is very popular, and many of them are aware about that. So only one more category has been added to it, which is which I'll just talk about later. The first pillar is the pressure or motivation. Any fraud you take, any example of fraud, there is always some kind of a pressure. The pressure may not be only the pressure of targets, meeting the business timeline or the volume, but it's also financial or pressure, family pressure. There would be a number of liabilities which a person is having, because of which they may end up getting into this fraud. The second one is opportunity. Now, unless and until you provide an opportunity to them, it's very hard to commit a fraud. So what we have seen, and I'm sure you all must have also experienced, there are plenty of opportunities within the organization, and mind you, these fraudsters are more aware about the processes many a times as compared to the people within the system. These people, the fraudsters who are now organized, they are no longer an individual fraudsters. Mostly you will find they are organized, and when they are organized, they have lots of people from various walks of life from the industry. Some may be from the insurance, from the finance, from banks, from maybe from government departments, and the police. So they get into this kind of fraud, and they are aware about this process. Where are the system gaps? We have seen, we have interacted or interrogated these people, and what they used to say that, I know this company or this particular organization doesn't have proper checks and balance, the lack of maker checker, the system gaps. There are those processes which they don't know, like they are more aware about in the claims, for example, in the insurance, they are more aware what is the timeline within which the investigation has to be done. What is the minimum amount for which they will not be having any physical verification or investigation. For example, I'll just give you one case study, which is a recent one, and it's a huge kind of, but it's also shows and gives us a learning how the fraud can happen, what kind of opportunities they take leverage of, they have leveraged upon, and how the alert and trained human force can mitigate that. Even if they are not able to mitigate, they are able to recover it, they are able to pinpoint, and they are able to take a call and close that case without paying that amount to that, or even if it is paid, it can be recovered. So there was a recent case in India where it's although an insurance case, but it's not only limited to insurance. There had been people who had come out from the organization. They had left the organization. They had worked there, and they knew the process. They knew the systems. They knew the basic tenets of the control persons, the departments, and they knew if they resort to these kind of techniques, they will be able to get through with it. So they took the data, and it was more than 10,000 of data from the organization. So it's very well what you call in the digital era, it's a very growing concern, where your data protection is should be one of the prime focus upon you, which you can build. So they had taken 10,000, more than 10,000 of data, and he knew that I will not be alone who will be able to do. So the third stage, which is also Vela, you can and also the fourth. So he knew that I will not be alone able to get through with these kind of frauds. So he knew he wanted some people who are more specialized, and so he got some people. So one was from the call center, one was from the IT, one was from bank, one was from person who was experienced in forging the documents and all. Okay, so all of those, it was around 6 to 7 people who got into this particular gang. So they ganged up, and they took out the list, and the data had the details of the policy holder, the details of the nominees, the KYC details. So whatever basic they should have with which they can put a claim on that. And they knew that they had a system of online filing of the claim. Okay, so they took advantage of that. they also knew that the minimum amount for which they will, the threshold amount for which they will not go for investigation is roughly around 30 lakhs. So beyond 30 lakhs, if it is, then only the organization may go for physical investigation. So they only limited it to amount which is less than 30 lakhs. And they could claim almost more than 150 claims till they were caught. And they had opened, and it's the figure of the bank accounts which they opened, it's quite alarming. It's more than 350 accounts they had opened, and not in pan-India level. It was purely at one, within the jurisdiction of one state. Now just imagine opening a 350 accounts, bank accounts, and by these 5-6 people. So there are lots of learning from that also, ki if there had been some kind of alert, some kind of people would have been able to look at the patterns and all, they may have been able to detect these kind of, they may have used a few banks. It may not be only limited to one bank. It may be various bank and various branches of it. But mostly we have experienced that unless and until there are certain insiders, it is difficult to crack any fraud or to be success, to have success in any fraud. Now that's where capability also comes. That person who is capable enough, they are holding any position without being against any person who may be at a high position, doesn't mean that they may be resorting to frauds. It's only minuscule percentage of fraudsters who resort to these kind of things. Now, so they cracked almost 150 claims and earned more than crores of amount. The place where the point where they got caught up was, they knew that within 30 lakhs they will not be doing any physical verification. So what they did, so they were mindful of that. However, in one claim which they put it up, it was within 30 lakhs, but they didn't knew that there are 2-3 other policies of the same customer, of the same policy holder, and that was around 10-11 crores. Okay. So there were 2-3 more policies of the same customer from the same insurance company. And they missed it out because they were concentrating only on those 30 lakhs, within 30 lakhs. And they didn't have the details of of the person, what kind of social status or the position that person holds. And he happened to be some chairman of education board. And when the investigator went to the place of that policy holder and for investigating the claim, they were shocked to hear that the person is alive. His wife told that he is very much alive. How can you ask for you have come for investigation for the claim? So it was because the systems also were in place, and the person who was handling that was aware, okay, the same customer, we have received one claim, but why not in other policies? So that kind of a trigger actually initiated this physical investigation, and they were able to capture, and his wife actually filed an FIR, and then the gang was busted. They are trying to get all the details of it, but at last, and they could recover more than thousands of death certificates. So unless and until they are some people are from those departments, whether from the death who issues the death and birth certificates, or from the hospitals, it would not be possible. So this is what I just thought to synopsize it, these 4 pillars of fraud diamond through this case. And all these tenets, whether it is pressure, opportunity, capability, rationalization, all these are part of this particular fraud. So With this, I'll just move into the digital space and hand it over to my colleague Velankannan to take it forward.
Thanks, Ajay. Thanks. Good evening once again to everyone. Good evening. I'm sure the last 15-20 minutes, you all would have understood that a digital era is something like which we cannot omit in our day-to-day life. Because especially after the pandemic period, most of the things we have got accustomed to do it either online or either remotely. So there's always an issue of a concern when we say online and remotely. We have a lot of opportunities that is being created on the wrong side, unfortunately. A fraudster takes an advantage out of it. Sometimes it is something like which is used as a commonly a deception kind of a situation where there's a financial and as well as a personal gain for a fraudster. There are a few things which is actually in this today's world that has become very common fraud this time. Namely, which I'm sure like you would have got to know about it in the day-to-day course as well. Phishing techniques. There's a lot of ways that the fraudsters do a phishing technique to acquire information or a data stick. Let me just give you my personal experience recently, which happened just a couple of days ago, and I'm not exaggerating, this really happened. There was an email coming to me from a very reputed online shopping portal stating that this is the OTP or a one-time password as for the recovery of my account. Just for the information of the audience out here, that account was blocked by me almost 3 years before, and I said I don't want to deal with this account any further for my online shopping. But still, I happened to receive this email a couple of days before, around midnight, and followed by that, I happened to receive 18 mails, 18 mails with recovery password, stating that this is a recovery password for your account which is no longer in use. Please use this and activate it. So there's always a way to do a phishing by the fraudsters. They just do a check to understand. Certain people fall prey. Even I would have fallen prey if I had not known few things about this. But certain people fall prey and the consequences is very large. Some of the basic things like giving an access to other software. Say, for example, there are certain mails which is coming on an official mail ID, and somebody gives an access to that. Recently, I saw a question. Now there's a question which I will right away answer. There was a question stating that if the server, which is actually for the company or for the corporate or the digital mail, is situated outside the India, how is it being hacked? How is it being used to? Unfortunately, all these places are falling in prey, provided if they give a small link access or a small click on the link which was given to them over a mail or a link or a chat or a message. Everything is accommodated into the link and everything is getting swiped off. The fraudsters are that brilliant that they can do anything just on a click of a button. Critical data is stolen. As just now Ajay briefed incident wherein actually the critical data of the insurance company was stolen and misused. Critical data need not be a corporate's data alone. It can be your own data or our data, individuals' data, such as bank account, identification number, like such as Aadhaar card number, PAN number. Almost any small information is a critical data. And if it is being stolen, it is being misused in a very bad shape. Internal employees. They know what are the reverse controls are, what are the control measures available in the company. They know who is actually the stakeholder, who we crack, how to crack, all these things internal employees are known about. They have a very good idea about how to crack the things. Unfortunately, that one or two black sheep in the crowd make use of it and turn into a fraudster or a threat to the company. Fraud being committed without even meeting the victims, especially this has been a scenario after the pandemic. During the pandemic, there's been a lot of service calls from credit cards, insurance, a lot of financial services stating that, sir, please do not come out. You need not come out. You just have to just give me an OTP or you just have to do a facial scan and we will take care of the rest of the things. Many frauds have happened in that. Just by sharing an OTP, I'm sure that one-time password, which we call friendly as OTP, plays a crucial role today just by sharing a 6-digit number. lot of information is being stolen, and the fraudsters make a huge advantage out of that. Over web, logos, signatures. Just to give you a small insight on this, let me just give you a small case study pertaining to this. There was a letter which was received by a reputed chartered accountant of a reputed company stating that the board meeting has to be preponed and also needs to have these points to be addressed in that. It was a neat letterhead which has come in an official way. The perfect details of the letterhead, signature, everything was there. Mind you, friends, it was a fraud letter. And how the fraudster happened to crack it? Everything is available on the web. The logo is perfectly fine in the website of the company that can be taken from there. The signatures of the board members or the directors is available on the annual report, which is available on the web, and you can access to that. And also the critical information such as what is the director's fraud composition, or the composition of the director's shareholding, everything is available on the net. So a fraudster has to just keep on taking information from the web and make misuse of it. And that's what has happened, and that case is still happening at the place. So these are some of the common fraud risk types when we talk about, which is predominantly playing a very huge role in this digital era. Similarly, if I have to just give you a small insight on the modus operandi, let me tell you what this modus operandi is basically. Modus operandi is basically the way how it is being carried out. Similar to, if I have to just immediately cut to an example, a cooking recipe. You need a dish. You need to prepare the dish. How do you prepare the dish is the recipe. And that is what is all we talk about. The modus operandi behind any frauds that happen. Let me give you a few insights on the most usual fraud occurrences that happens in terms of modus operandi. What are the ways the fraudsters make use of it? And how are they pulling it out? Phishing. We just spoke about it. Phishing customer information is most commonly used and most commonly being successfully used by the fraudsters. Why I'm saying successful is a lot of people become scapegoat to these type of frauds, and they unfortunately give the valuable information. OTP scams, SIM mirroring. A SIM card, normally when we use a SIM card, unfortunately sometimes when people discard it, they don't discard it properly. They do not break it into pieces and discard it. They just throw it off. And that same number, which is encrypted on it, has got so much of information about us. Your contacts, your details about a lot of bank websites and all these things, it's getting stored at the back end on that SIM, small SIM web over there. So people make use of it is one way. Number two is, once a new SIM is issued, they try to mirror it. A call center person posing himself as call center person would call the person who has changed the SIM card recently and say, sir, your SIM card is yet to be activated. I will just trigger the OTP. You may just share that OTP and you can probably, I will activate your SIM card. So the innocent man doesn't have any clue about it. You just share the OTP and the SIM card is activated. That's what he thinks. But that is where everything is swindled from that. Data steal, the most unfortunate, at the same time, the most common steal which is happening nowadays. Data is money. Data is huge money nowadays. It's a huge money and people exchange data for anything. Data of each and every person is very valuable in the market, especially amongst the fraudsters, to make misuse of it. There's a lot of softwares available in the market to tamper the KYC documents. Let me just give you a small example out here as well. Normally, we go to the photocopy shop to take photocopies of our documents for any purposes, either passport, a PAN card, Aadhaar card, all these documents. These guys at the photocopy shop, you might be aware about it, but still I just wanted to address it here. These guys also become a root channel for these fraudsters. If we happen to ask them about a couple of copies, they make an extra copy and they sell that information or sell the papers to the fraudsters. And there are softwares to tamper the KYC and make misuse of it. Freebies to customers. It's a very common technique which most of the people fall prey, and unfortunately, most of the women, especially the housewives, fall prey for that. There has been a lot of cases that is registered randomly calling the customer saying that you have won a lottery. Please, we will just send you a link, and you just need to click the link, and we'll send you the prices over there. You just need to give your address, details, everything on the link. Make use of it, and people stole the data and made money. Unfortunately, the victims are still suffering. Illegal hacking. I'm sure everybody would have heard about the legal hacking or the proper way of hacking, but there are illegal hackers to deal with all these things and make a huge frauds over there. And definitely, most importantly, outdated softwares. There are still corporates or companies little hesitant to spend on spend on softwares which is outdated softwares. Using an age-old software without proper firewalls or proper mechanisms to just make the control measures strong, they give themselves an hand to escape the data. These are some of the fraud occurrences which we report. Something related to the common frauds. ATM card skimming. ATM machines are inserted with a skimming machine, wherein a person happened to insert his ATM card or a debit card. The machine actually captures the vital information of the magnetic path, which is transmitted to somebody else at the outside. ATM card skimming, fake vaccination call. This has been around there quite a way. Especially after the pandemic, vaccination has been always a talk of the town. Let me just give you a small example of how it is being operated. All of a sudden, the caller gets a call from one of the diagnostic centers or the lab or the pathology center stating, sir, we are doing a free COVID test. We just need to pay a small amount as a operational charges. So we will send you a link and ensure that you are in a safe mode and you get a report immediately, instantly to ensure that you are COVID free. Considering the fear what we all have regarding COVID and also the environment we live in, people fall prey to that. Receive the link, click on it, do the small operational charges of 99 rupees. It's very minimal, 99 rupees, 199. So people wouldn't mind spending 99 or 199 for their life. So they just send the money and wait for certain other details for the person to visit to collect samples and everything. Nothing happens. You will not be able to reach out to the number which you have received call from. There is no diagnostic center or a pathology center that will come and pick up a sample of yours. The money which you have paid is gone. And this has been a recent times. It has been recently very operative, and these fraudsters are spread across the country and very operative in terms of spending money from people.
So Vela, just 1 second.
Cash.
Yeah, Vela. So I'll just add on that. So there had been lots of, see, in the COVID times, there had been people had lots of pressing moments, and they had been locked inside. However, these people also evolved new methods or new modus operandi for creating these kind of frauds. So fake vaccination call, you may have heard, you may have gone through some news where these kind of things had happened. It was also for the COVID home testing call, home testing or any tests for COVID. So those things had also been misused by these people for their own benefits, and had also been used for getting a claim from the insurance companies. And there had been n number of cases of such where these kind of cases had come. And you may have heard that the government also had and Supreme Court has also given a direction to you can investigate those fake fraud claim cases for COVID because of these large scale fraud which has happened in this area. And lots of claim has been put not only to the various insurance companies, but also to the government of India and the state governments. Yeah, well, you can.
Thanks. So when we talk about QR code scan, this is something which is only again being found in most of the places. We normally nowadays we don't spend money or a cash. We don't do most of the purchases through cash or a card. We do the QR code scan and we pay the payment. You never know that QR code which you are scanning through might not be the shopkeeper's QR code or might not be the genuine QR code. It could be a fraudster who has stuck the sticker and the money, whatever you are paying through, is reaching his bank account. This has been a scenario which has been caught across and has been a common fraud. Similar to that, there are social welfare frauds. People calling you for charity purposes, saying that actually there's some situation where somebody is requiring a medical assistance, and if your money is being deposited, will send you a tax exemption certificate and all those things, and they do a fraud over a link sent across. In the name of social welfare, frauds are being happening. Juice jacking. This is a very, very risky mode which has been operational in most of the locations, especially at the charging portals. A stranger approaches somebody who is looking for a charging cable. They say, like, sir, if you would like to use the charging cable, please have this. And you can charge your phone.
Well, just once,
yeah,
just one. There has been one query also. How fake vaccination call is related to claims fraud. I think it's Mahua. So, see, fake vaccination call and fake COVID this testing call, testing one. So there is the tests which had been the report which had been generated. So the fake reports which had been generated, those had been used for claiming claiming for the from the insurance company, where they had been detected. They may not have been detected for COVID, but they had used these certificates to get that claim. And you know that in those days, right now also it may not be fully back to normal, but in the COVID times, there were hardly any investigations which were being done by the companies. And sorry, there had been special instruction also or direction also from the government authorities that there should not be the COVID claims should be settled on priority. And whenever the investigators used to go also, even if they had some kind of a semblance of doubt, they used to take plea of social distancing and other aspect, and they never used to meet these investigators. Maybe the nexus was behind that, whoever, but those claims had increased a lot. And if you are from the insurance company or those people who are from the insurance, they would agree that there are lots of claims which had come as a COVID claim, and their bucket suddenly increased in the claims. The fake vaccination one was for one is to gain for some kind of where they can be allowed to go, like there were restrictions where they can be allowed to go. Second was getting the undue amount by using these kind of techniques. Like suppose if someone is saying that I can, we are from the agency and we are allowed to, or we are authorized to give vaccines at home, and many have fallen prey to that, and they had come to their locations, may not have come to their locations also, but the amount has been paid to these people, the fraudsters, and thereafter they may have vanished. So those kind of frauds were pertaining to the fake vaccination calls. One for the avoiding the restrictions like travels and many other things. Second was getting that amount from these people, gullible people. The fake COVID reports which were generated, that was used mostly for the claims purpose. I hope I have made it clear on that. Yeah, Vela, continue.
Yeah, sure. So when we talk about juice jacking, this is one thing which is commonly being used, especially at locations where they have the free charging cables available, mobile charging cables. Common places like airport, railway stations, where they have the cables just hanging in there, and you just attach your mobile to just charge for a quick charge. These places are prone for fraudsters, which they use it to fish your data as in your mobile. Juice jacking has been a big talk of the town, especially in recent times. And in the last 3-4 years, there are a lot of cases which has happened through this.
And it's similar to the Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi or the free Wi-Fi which are available in the public domain. So people had been misusing those things or using it for the purpose of these kind of frauds. So when you get that access to that Wi-Fi, and they may steal your data and all through that, and they may misuse it for various, whether it is from your bank accounts or any other, the credit cards and other things. Yeah.
So we also talk about the credit and debit card activation or upgrade calls that people normally receive. Say they get a call actually saying that your credit card is due for upgradation, and we will just trigger a OTP to you. You can use the OTP and you can get your card updated with updated limits. So this is one other thing that people or the fraudsters make use of a credit card activation and upgradation as a tool to swindle money. And almost the last common fraud which we have seen here out here is like the betting scams. Recently,
so I'll
yeah.
just add again on this particular credit and debit card. So all these kind of modus operandi, you will find that people will be in a very hurry. This is a limited offer. This is a limited time, whether it is your SIM card upgradation, credit card upgradation, and they will try to pressurize those people, and many of them fall into that. Okay, this is a limited time. Only within today you have to upgrade. Within today you have to do certain things which gaining certain amount, or whether it is your lotteries or other things. Credit card and debit card, there is another angle to it, which is online payment of the policies, or payment for policy premiums, or various other payments. And we have seen across, and we have personally experienced these huge racket of credit card frauds, where they know that the details will not be available to the organization, because there is certain things which needs to be masked. You can't see the CVV number, you can't see the entire credit card details of that person. And there had been lots of payment being made by single person. Okay, online payments for premiums and all. Now you say why the premium is being made by the other person? What does he gain from it? The gain is, one is, if it is some salesperson or someone, he may be doing it for his targets and all. Okay, the client may be in some kind of a tricky situation. He may not be able to pay. Today is the last day. Let me pay it, and I will claim later on from the customer. Or the customer may have told him that you pay right now, I'll pay you later. Second is also whether those customers are existing or not. Is it a fake policy which had been taken on these people? Now those people may not exist. They may have died. You may have heard about death before issuance and other things. They may not exist, for which you are making the payment. And so that after 3 years, or once that particular phase goes, there will be less suspicion from the industry or organization, and then they can easily put a claim and they get the claim. The second is that. The third one, which is also which people who may have experience in the banks and all may know, there is a cashback or a chargeback. If this particular card has not been used by me. So what they do, and we have busted one racket in that, where they had paid amount on behalf of the customer. They had paid, and they had also the chain of people who were part of those, whether it was agents or the salesperson, they had told them that, okay, you get this amount paid for this person, these policy holders. I will offer you certain discounts on that. I will offer you some maybe certain benefits or some amount to you. And later on, what he does, he claims the chargeback from the banks. Okay. So they used to claim the chargeback from the bank, and then again the bank used to come back to the company saying that, okay, this particular amount, the payer is saying that this is not, his card has been misused. And so they claim that amount from the bank. They have already paid, so that those policies are premium paying. Those benefits are going to the sales employees or the agents, and they claim that chargeback from at the end of the day, and they share it with those people also. So there had been lots of, and again, they open lots of banks, and it may not be Indian. There are those kind of cards which are through darknet and all. It's like going beyond that. So it's not a thing which is now limited only to a white collar job, white collar crime crime. As I told you, it's a big nexus, organized crime. So unless and until we get together, it becomes very difficult to challenge these people or fight with these people and resolve it. Yeah, Vela.
So when we talk about this betting scams, that is something like which is common nowadays, actually, where people are getting swindled of the money. The betting scams play a vital role, especially with the enthusiasm which youngsters show towards different sports and different matches in across. So this is one place where there is a money involved could be less, the volume involved is more. So definitely, fraudster is being gained and a huge value of lump sum. When we talk about the modus operandi, we also wanted to just share a few red flags that people need to be aware of. This is not just for the information of the people in this webinar. And also, I would request each and everybody to just spread the small information of red flags. That is an alert kind of thing. When you happen to hear a few of this, there's calls claiming that they are providing a very valuable services and they're asking for some vital information or a very important information. Some calls which come into you or your family members or your friends, definitely they need to be alert that something is going wrong or it could be checked and then given. Lucky dip winner, share an OTP to claim your prize. This is very commonly a fraud because people love to win lucky dips. The prize is also very attractive. And that is the reason people fall prey by just giving a OTP. Link sent to your mobile, click and win offers. This is something like nobody has to give you a call. You just get a WhatsApp text or a normal common text, a small message, SMS. Click on this link and win this many offers. Attractive falling prey is very easy. Requesting CVV of the card or the credit card, this is a direct no-no. No company or no call center executive or no bank is authorized to take CVV of any person. The CVV I'm talking about is the 3-digit number which is behind your card, which is actually a verification code number. Additional photocopy of your documents. Just be very careful while taking up photocopies at local shops or anywhere else. Ensure that you are not being misused or your documents or valuable KYC documents is not being misused. Most importantly, attractive loan card or any other offers stating that your credit score is very good. We are just giving you a free loan, free personal loan, free card, or even a car loan. All those things, because nowadays this has also become a trend that people say your credit score is amazing and you have got a pre-approved offers of loan or card or anything as such. These are certain small red flags which is very commonly in place. Definitely an alert has to be there at the back of the mind. And just a request or a shout out to this group over here saying that this is the valuable information that you can take it forward to your friends, family, as well as yourself.
One more just to add to what Vela has shared. See, these are not only for an organizational level or where you are representing. It is also for at your personal level. Okay, so these are for personal intake also, because we also fall prey to these things. You pay those things through UPI. You use lots of gateways. You have made online payments, and the COVID has actually increased the digital payment depth within the country a lot. It has the percentage is a lot more now. So you also need to be very beware about these kind of red flags. Like many a times it happens that for payment, for receiving the payment, you are being asked to share the PIN or the OTP or the QR details, which is not. It's only for the payment. When you are making a payment, you are using these kind of you are using your PIN or your OTPs and all. But if someone is asking your OTP and again, it's not just the OTP. They may not be using the terminology OTP. They may use some other terminology. The code, the sales code, promotion code, vacation code, all these kind of the words they will be using, because OTPs many people may be aware of. So in order to hide that, mask it, they may use these kind of things. So beware about these things also at a personal level, not only at a not only for the organization, or which is important at the same time.
Just before I give it back to Ajay for taking it over, this is another one red flag which is very, very common, wherein a person has got his loan rejected recently. He's being targeted with a call saying that that was a different thing, and we have seen your credit and everything. All seems to be good. Let's do a pre-approved offer. Unfortunately, people fall prey for this. So these are few common red flags that we need to be having an alert as an individual as well as a corporate. Let's a few case studies which actually we have discussed a lot of case studies. We just will run through a few things.
I think we have just covered most of these case studies,
Yeah.
and
Question itself, we have covered a
see
few.
whether so just to go on, maybe I can email frauds and all. You know that where the links and those things are being shared, and which is unauthorized. You need to, and many people fall prey to that. There are those the calls, the credit card activation, as I told you about what the people ask for, and they give very minimal time to make sure that you don't go and check and recheck and reconfirm from the banks and all. They will try to pressurize you so much that you may fall prey to it. So these the calls, you know, the hoax call, the spurious calls, which not only the BFSI but any corporates face. So online shopping now, all these things, wherever these kind of fraud happens, it's more of also because of lack of awareness. So it's very important that as an organization, we should be having a continuous communication with the, not only with the within the organization but outside also, with the people, the customers, sharing those kind of. So these kind of messaging is also important to create that awareness. You may be seeing IRDA, RBI, those having those kind of advertisements, regular kind of messaging and all, but it's more important now. On next, all these things which we have discussed more or less, so we are just skipping it for the sake of time also, and it's nothing but the extension of that. The only thing which I can relate to the question which Rakeshji, I think someone has asked on the juice jacking and all. So juice jacking, Mahua, it is not only the Wi-Fi related. It is like where you go and you find some charging point in the public place, and you may not have been having the charger. And these are the recent phenomenon which has, or modus operandi you can say. And the person may come out and say that, okay, I have a charger, you can use this, and you may innocently use that charger because your phone is not charged. And later on, maybe certain virus and other things have been put inside your system and taken all those details. So that is where we need to be aware as a person also, as I told you, in a personal capacity, where you need not, these kind of people actually wait for these situations and moments to capture this. This I already explained, the COVID tests, and next, credit card machine. Now you know that there are like skimming in the ATM machine. The similar skimming can be also of your credit cards and all by using unauthorized or that particular the machine which they use. Mobile app, there are lots of, if you mostly we also go on the Google search and try to find out certain apps or something which may not be authorized, and when we go into that particular app, download it, we may fall into trap. So we should go with the recognized one, with the on the company's authorized websites, and not falling into those things, and checking it from the concerned organization, banks or companies, insurance companies and all, before going into with this falling in with these details.
There was one question from Magua saying that actually, what about the SMS that we get for a free credit score or anything as such? Just to address that question, first of all, there is no differentiator that will be able to establish whether it's a fraud link or a genuine link. So I would suggest like we better ignore these kind of links and we better ignore using them. If at all, if we wanted to check the credit score of us, we can log into Civil's official website. We can do the payments and we can take it up, whatever the credit score, what we wanted to understand. So there's always no difference between a genuine link or a fraud link, which we will be as a common man will be able to find it. The best way to deal with it is not using it. Not using it, just ignoring it, and do it a proper or an official way of dealing with that information. I hope Magwa's question has been answered.
So just to interrupt, I think I have also come across many instances where while making payment at various shops, say if we want to make any payment by Paytm, say there are some apps which shows that payment has been made, but in real time it has not been made. It is just a fake app which shows that payment has been done. So this again can be a big loss to small retailers who don't have that much idea about and who do not cross check whether the payment has been received.
Right. So these are the things. See, certain things are, well, the banks and other are still grappling with. So as I told you that once you have cracked certain things, they have moved to another level. It's like a video game. You are doing first stage you have completed. By then they have already completed the third stage. So
and we need to understand that fraudsters are more smarter than us.
Yeah,
so
correct.
I think what we are thinking today, they are thinking things ahead. So we need to take into account that also.
So job like people lost so many jobs in the COVID time before also, and if they see some kind of a job offer and all, they fall into that. Later on, they are being asked for certain money for trainings or other kind of stuff, which is not there as a job. When you are being asked to pay certain amount to get a job, that you can get an alert at that time. And all these things may be not only at the personal level, but these job frauds may be misusing your organizations, taking leverage of your organization. We have seen, you go in the Mumbai, we have so many local trains. There are those, and I can talk from my personal experience. We used to get so many complaints where those advertisements used to be placed on those public places, the local trains and all. Some employee is required for this company, so and so company. Now that may not be employee actually. They may be an advisor or agent or contract person. But in order to attract them, they give as an employee, which is unauthorized kind of. And they may fall prey to it. They may pay a certain amount and later on they may vanish. So all these things are where the basic thing which we can do is go on the company's websites, go on the branches. We don't go many a times. We don't go to visit the nearest branch of a bank or a insurance company or any of these kind of the corporates. Fine, you may not be going every time, but it's good that you can go sometime to those branches just to get a feel what exactly, how it is, and is there any kind of a change, and also be aware about by reading these kind of things on their website, what the changes they have made, and they may report it, they may be publishing it on their website. So instead of that, we fall into these people, and after getting the calls also, we don't actually verify from the real company for which they are representing. So these are certain things which we need to be aware of. Hoax calls, you all may be aware, there are lots of, many data has been already gone into the outside. You go, they may be having your bank accounts, they may be having. Once I had gone to one, we were raiding one call center, and there we got certain details, and we did some forensic on the person's computer. We found they had the details of the bank accounts, every details. We met the police cyber cell there, and they showed us bunches of documents having all the details of various banks, various insurance companies and all. So unless and until we have a proper system in the organization, which Vela will now talk about, the control mechanism, and many queries have come for that also, it's very difficult to catch on. If we are just reactive, we'll just be doing a catching up game. And many a times we may not be able to catch also if we are just playing the reactive game. We need to be proactive, predictive, and responsive, along with being reactive. So, Vela, over to you for.
So, all this while we have been talking about a few things which is pertaining to the fraud incidents. That is something like which has been happening across the globe or probably around us. Always when we talk about negative things, we also need to understand what is the positive side of it, or how to make the negative to positive, how to control the negative, and that's what we are talking about. Control measures. When we talk about control measures, basically we just wanted to put it in a very simple nutshell as 4-pillar theory: effective risk management, robust, that is strong corporate governance, sound ethical culture, and legal framework. This is from an organization's perspective that these 4 pillars needs to be very strong, and each and every pillar has got a few attributes that we will see. Effective risk management. The biggest problem any company might face a fraud incident is probably not spotting the right risk item in the company. It could be anything. Say, for example, if I'm not doing any brand out here, for an example, if it's an insurance company, the biggest risk item of the insurance company could be or is misuse of claims or misuse of policyholders' money. Claim fraud is a common factor in an insurance company. So identify the threat. Who could be the victims out of it? The claimants, the family members, the policyholders' family members. As we all know, that insurance claim has always been seen, or the fruitful point of an insurance claim is for the benefit of the family members. Identify the prime target. Evaluate the risk. Most important that how much this risk could cause a problem to the family members, to me as a brand, to me as a reputation, to me as an industrial player. And also, when we happen to find out all these things, we need to record it in a particular manner and start reviewing it timely. As we opened this discussion about an hour before, we said that fraudsters are evolving. They change their methods. They change the pattern of doing any fraud. So it is a corporate or a company's most important responsibility in terms of effective risk management is to review the frauds which has happened in the past, review the data which is available with us on a timely basis in a proper frequency. This effective risk management will definitely ensure the most strong way of corporate governance, which is pillar 2. Pillar 2 talks about the robust, strong corporate governance, making it a responsible way of making the employees understand what is the purpose of being in this corporate or in this company or in this brand. Keeping the transparency amongst the people, giving them an opportunity to share if they happen to see anything very wrong. Whistleblower. Whistleblower is one thing which is an opportunity for each and every employee in an organization to share anything that is happening across their radius, across their workplace, without disclosing that information. So this kind of a corporate governance with a strong mechanism to allow an employee to just disclose facts, at the same time sending up a strong information that you are responsible for whatever your acts, and also making a transparency over that, makes the corporate governance more stronger. And when we talk about
just to add, Vela, on the whistleblower thing. See, it is to our advantage only if we have a proper whistleblower policy in the organization. And because you may get so much of information which is not possible for you sitting at head office or in the zonal offices to get these details. You may have to depend on people at the ground. So what kind of connectivity, what kind of responses you are making, giving it to these people or you are just ignoring it, depends, will actually lead to your well-being in these particular area. So as a corporate, as a bank, as a insurance company, BFSI, or any other corporate, you need to have a strong and effective whistleblower policy. Second, apart from this, you may have some kind of you need to build some surveillance or intelligence on the field also. The networks which you have, it may ease out your workload, and it will be more effective for closing of the cases or mitigating those frauds or related issues, if you have a good and effective whistleblower, surveillance, or intelligence network being built in.
So when we talk about this two pillars, we also need to understand the ethical culture of the organization plays a very vital role. One objective for every employee, and also most importantly, the confidentiality and also the trust on the employees and the management. There should be a culture which has to be driven saying that we are zero tolerance to fraud. We collectively as a team will fight against fraud. And this information has to go to each and every employee with a lot of communication happening across the work location, town halls, open meetings, mailers, in a way that it shows even to a fraudster, he or she might think this is not a right place for me to act here. This is not a right place for me to do anything nonsense. So that ethical culture has to be driven from the top to the bottom in a sound manner. Having said all these three pillars is important. Definitely, fourth pillar is the most very crucial pillar. If we do not have a proper framework of legal entities or a legal operational or a action operational, we cannot be keeping quiet on any mishaps. Legal framework is one where it has to understand the facts, go through the process and procedures, whether it is perfectly fine to ensure that no such incident happens in the future. Actioning metrics, and most importantly, rule book. Why I say rule book? It sounds very similar or to our school days or anything, but let me tell you one thing: without a proper rule laid on, no things are in control. Very simple example: traffic lights. Traffic lights is a very simple example for a rule book which states with a simple three colors. Similarly, any organization with a proper legal framework has to have a proper rule book to say which they are supposed to do, which they are not supposed to do, and also most importantly, the consequences if they do anything wrong. Because unless and otherwise you tell the kid that this could be the consequence of catching a fire, they will not keep their fingers off the fire. So with this four pillars, again I just wanted to give you an overview. The four pillars: effective risk management, strong, robust corporate governance, sound ethical culture, and legal framework. The control measure starts a very good way to ensure the fraudsters are given a sound information. With this point, I just hand it over to Ajay to continue on the control measures with the current trends.
So these are certain control measures, and there were some questions also of the participants on this. How we can have the proactive or predictive things rather than just reactive things. So the control measures, first of all, in the digital space, the data is very crucial. So as you know that data is very crucial and it needs to be protected, there has to be a good InfoSec policy. The confidentiality of data should be maintained to a highest order. There had been lots of penalties. Now IRDA or RBI or the governments have been very, very critical on this aspect, and they have laid those kind of rules and regulations for the organizations to be maintained. Because unless and until you have that data privacy, and that trust will not be there amongst the customers, and it will lead to your reputational, it will lead to legal and financial damage, but more importantly, it will lead to your reputational damage. And reputational damage once gone, it becomes very, very difficult to retain or regain it as compared to your financial or legal risk. So we need to be very, very particular about that. The second one is how we are reviewing the controls. Have we built ones uh, we see that we have built the systems, we have built the tools, and the tools and systems will take care of itself. It's evolving. The things are evolving over time. You need to have these things. You need to have more of these kind of review mechanism of whether your systems are going right, whether your tools are working fine, whether it is needs to be tweaked. When you have your car or your machines, you use oils for having so that the rust is not there, some kind of damage is not there. You get those maintenance done, checks done. You go to the garage, you go to, why not for these things? Your tools, which may have been effective at one stage, may not be effective today. It needs to be tweaked. It needs to be relevant for the current time. So how much you are reviewing you are doing. So, and basis the experience you are having in the past, is there any kind of changes you have brought? Our objective should be whether the fraud or any issues which has happened in the past should not get repeated at least. But we see, and you may be also able to, you may support me in this, that we have seen many cases which had been happening earlier is continuing now also. Why? Because there is a need to review and need to build that system where it takes care of those patterns, those behaviors, those locations, those kind of people, and basis that experience, those things are taken care of and those things are not repeated or mitigated. The automation, the systems will be there. As I told you, many of the companies have the tools at the front end to cater to the business, to cater to the employees, to the customers. But is it supported by our equally robust system in-house? If you don't have, how you are able to provide services to the customers? Because it's not only the sales which is important, and you know that now it's as a competitive edge, the servicing quality is also taken into account. So what kind of systems you are built in place, like the support functions, the operations, the control departments like audit, risk, the RCUs, what kind of systems they are using. So sometimes we may be very serious about the systems and tools in place for front end, but at the support level, it gets diluted. So the tone at the top, the proper framework, the corporate governance, which Vela talked about, all these things needs to be there in place, which can take care of these frauds or mitigation of these frauds. There are like red flags and all. He spoke about if surveillance, the intelligence. You know that you may not be aware about who may be creating a fraud or which kind of frauds may come. But the people who are there, suppose in a branch, there is some kind of a change in his behavior. He may not be gelling with the colleagues there. He may be having some kind of it raises some kind of alert. It may not be fraud, but there is a red flag in that also. And from our experience, I can tell you that we have caught basis these kind of people who had passed on these informations from the branches or the local offices. And we have been able to catch those kind of fraudsters, either from creating it or even after creating, we got sufficient evidence and recovered those kind of amounts also. But so that is one area where we need to put focus, proactive focus. We are like, there are lots of predictive tools, AI, ML tools are available, blockchains, and many things are there. Now the companies have also started using that. We are seeing that they are using lots of insurance companies. The banks were already having those things, many of the banks. So these are being used now, the predictive tool. Predictive tool is based on what? On the patterns or the experience which we had before. But if we are not able to feed the inputs into the system in a proper way, because there are those gaps of data capturing, data maintenance in various organizations, and that can hamper your building a effective tool or AI or a predictive tool in that sense. And that may result into wrong kind of a prediction, which may not help you in the long run. So we need to continuously, and it also has machine learning, which can evolve over time. At the start, it may not give you a desired result, but over a period of time, it will start giving you, throwing some more data which can help you in controlling those steps. But equally, it is important how the persons using that are trained and alert. Like you to know that in English, there is a saying, garbage in and garbage out. So if you are not effective, if you are not trained, if you are not alert, you may be putting those things which may not be required, which may not help you in the long run. So it's a balance which is required to carry out these kind of controls. So these are certain things. There are n number of things which we can go on and on. I can tell you, I have so much of case studies. I have so much of case and actual practical cases which has happened. 1.5 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours will be very less to actually talk about that. But we try to sum up in whatever possible way we can. And these are certain other measures which we can use it to minimize these frauds. And which is, as I told you, it's not only for the organization, but at a personal level as well. So we should be aware. We should be creating awareness. Communication is very key. Communication you need to have, and that is, communication is one string which can lead to redressal of many of the problems. And in fraud also, whether it is internal or external, you need to. So that, again, I have lots of importance needs to be given in that communication field. These are do's and don'ts which are already taken from the things which we have discussed earlier. So these are in the nutshell which so if we have time, Rakesh, is there any other things, or we can take some questions if
Yeah.
Yes.
Shyam, please see if you have any questions in the chat box.
Some questions I've already answered, I think, during the discussion.
Yeah, most of them you have answered. So if anybody wants to ask anything, they can unmute. I believe Dr. Muthuraja Chinnaswamy has asked some questions. So if he has anything, Dr. Muthuraja, will unmute you.
Sir, namaskar, sir. Thanks for your high quality presentation. I have two questions to ask.
Yeah, namaskar, sir. Yeah.
Will you hear my voice, sir?
Yes,
Yeah,
audible.
please, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Number one, being a member of Indian Society of Criminology, I expect more standard policy measures to mitigate the fraudulence in India from the central government. Is there any standard quality policy from central government is available present day? That's a number one. Number two, how to sensitize a common man on avoiding the fraudulence in all walks of life, including economic affairs, education affairs, social affairs. How we can sensitize common man? Only two questions, sir. Please, sir.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for the question. And as far as first question relates to your, is there any structured process on the fraud or these things at the central or government level? It's still not being, like, for example, in the legal sphere itself, there are lots of things which needs to be tweaked and needs to be streamlined. They have created one SFIO. SFIO, you may be knowing that it's a special fraud investigating office which has been created for a large financial or corporate frauds, which needs to be actually more what you say, it's broad based. It should be covering more of the, it's right now more of a large amount, large corporates and those kind of things, but it needs to be, and I think it's more of a centralized kind of, it needs to be more diversified. There are more scope of creating more specific laws on frauds.
Yeah.
If you see, as I started with, it's only the contract which gives a clear definition of that. But many of them, you may not be able to just go with that definition. Many a times when we catch hold of the fraudsters and you book him, the FIR has been filed, he may be arrested also, but in few days he is out on bail. And thereafter again, he may create those frauds in maybe certain different areas. So this we are actually grappling with the governments also. The third is like for the insurance, the hospital records. We don't get the hospital records. It was issued, circular was issued in 1980 for LIC, when LIC was there at that time. At that time, no private insurers were there. Now the private insurers came in 2000. Now there is no change in that circular, and the insurance companies face lots of challenges in getting the records from the hospitals, which may be, and these people misuse that and they take advantage of lodging the fake claim. The second issue you talked about on the awareness campaign on various, not only limited to these banks or insurance, but other things also where these frauds can happen. One is the government is doing, but it needs to be a little more penetrative. It should go to the more at the grassroots level. Second is corporates. The regulators are also doing, but it's again a limited extent. Corporates, I don't see hardly they are communicating to the general public. They need to actually, as a part of CSR also, corporate social responsibility also, they are doing those stuff, but it needs to also be publicized, or it needs to be communicated at a large scale to avoid. And these things which are there, it requires that communication, and you are very right. This kind of communications are very much should be there from all walks of life, not only the corporates, but also the education institutes. So if we can come together, it requires that synergy. The fraudsters are ganging up. The fraudsters have organized. Why can't we? Unless and until we organize ourselves, it is very difficult to fight these fraudsters.
And I think we should, in our course curriculums also, right from this starting level, we should inculcate this topics on fraud, technology risk, and everything, so that they can, the children can have an idea, because they are growing with technology and they will understand it better. Even when we take example of these fake call centers, we regularly receive news that this fake call center has been busted, but I am unsure how many of them are prosecuted. They just walk free, and maybe they are with other setup, they again start doing some other kind of fraud. So we have a very critical.
Yeah, you are right, Rakesh ji, because I can share my experience. We have done lots of raids, lots of people have been arrested. Not only we, many of the companies, insurance companies. But I can talk about my experience, which we had done. We had busted these rackets at Noida, the NCR region. Lots of call centers are there in South, in Maharashtra also. But what happens once you, again, like I told you, you put them behind bar, in 2 days they are out. And again, and the data is still there. But inside the organization also, sir, it requires that synergy. We are working in silos. The IT department, the fraud department, the operation department, the sales, all are working, control departments in silos. They have egos. Okay, I need to take care of entire, I will not share. Unless and until the entire, like for example, the support, the IT, the CISOs have now gained importance in the industry. You need to have one CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, to prevent these things. But he should also be taken together with the fraud department, the control departments, and all should work in tandem. And then outside, with the industry, with the education institutes, with the other bank finance and other things, and then you can, at least then you move in that direction.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay. Thank you. I'm sorry for troubling you. I have one more request.
Not at all, sir.
If possible, you can share some thoughts on, I think the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are also focusing on crime reduction, zero fraudulence and other things. How as a government, how as a agencies we can support to implement and to execute the SDGs in Indian context, if possible? Please comment on that.
Yeah, sure, sir. So, what I can share with our experience is that once when we were doing some investigation, we met the law enforcement authorities and all, and when both sides were interacting on what is your work area, what is our work area. So then they started saying that your work is similar to ours. Okay, you investigate, you do these things. So we told that there is a difference. You have still some power. We don't have that. When we go to hospital, when we go to any of the agencies, the municipal, the banks or anyone, it's very hard to get the details. Because we don't have that authority. We are not told, we are not given those things as the authority compared to. So if those things are synergized again, and they need to, because everything the police and the authorities can't do. You need to have the backup which are there. You need to just train them accordingly, but you need to share that and take them as your team members. So once that starts happening, I'm sure there will be lots of messaging and there will be kind of a strong messaging to these fraudsters that yes, and wherever we have done, wherever we had got this, I can tell you with surety that those frauds had reduced in that area.
I think we also.
Thanks, Ajay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think we also need to understand that these investigating agencies or police force, they are not that well trained. For example, if particular people from a particular police station raids any place, so they are not that trained to extract the data or to build up that kind of case against the perpetrators, because they are smarter enough. They are storing data at some place and the things are in cloud. So it is the training to this ground level personnel is also required, and a specific sort of training to this police force or investigating agencies are also required.
So Rakeshji, I can just give you some information on that. For last 3-4 years, and we have also done, and many other corporates have also been doing. They have joined hands with the local police and all, and they have been training them. They have been using these kind of platforms. We did it in Assam. We did it in the one of the companies did it in Odisha and all, and they are also coming forward. They are also coming forward because these areas, it's new to them also. Because financial frauds and all, it becomes difficult, and the economic offense wing is there, but how much they can cater?
How much? The scale is too vast for them to.
Too high, So, but they have started coming actually, and the corporates have also, but it needs to be more sustained and more large scale kind of.
From our platform also, we can organize such a training workshop for investigating agencies also, so that we can put forward a proposal to them, to government also, that we can train them and we can help them to unearth the fraud.
Would be very happy.
And I think at the level of business entities also, this awareness is required, what they need.
Correct.
Basically, the problem that I see, we don't know what we need, because we are more concerned with our sales of the business. We don't think in long term. So now we need to think that since we are using technology so much, so we need to put in the aspect of fraud, risk management in our, the top management should think, and this should come from them. That this should include this maybe some sort of fraud audit, some sort of risk management audit in any business that we are. Maybe in big corporates it would be there, but especially in case of MSMEs, this should be included.
And to add to that, Rakeshji, if they start thinking fraud department or these kind of areas, risk or audit or control department, as business enabler rather than roadblock, I think it will ease out and it will help both the sides. It will help the business also. It will help the quality of business and long-term business and reputation as well. So that is where they need to clear out that these people, the risk team, the control departments are not the road blocker, but they are the business enabler. And how we can, and from our side also, how we can come together and help in the business, but the quality business. And they also need to have that zero tolerance. If there is anything, it should be taken harshly, not.
No, I think education and training is one of the key pillars where we can do something to stop fraud. or at least to manage something.
Right. Yeah.
So I think we are running out of time. So we would be in future also we would be trying to implement to conduct more such programs, maybe for different agencies or different bodies, maybe for MSMEs or similar profiles. So we can have a lengthier discussion on it, and we are also thinking of launching some online course on this fraud risk management. So maybe in a very in future we would be launching it. So we would be seeking help from Ajay ji to devise some
Anytime,
course
sir.
modules on that. And I think that will help the risk teams also to have some specific inputs on what areas they need to focus upon and what needs to be done. So
Yeah,
thanks a
because
lot,
just
Ajay ji, and
before that,
yeah.
Rakesh ji, just one thing, because to us there had been couple of questions on the details of proactive and the predictive controls and all. It's very difficult to go in detail in this time. So you can just call and we can have a discussion. We can let you know on those things in detail. So I hope we have touched whatever possible way we can, and we'll wait for the feedbacks. Eagerly await for the feedback.
Yeah, I will also request our participants to, if they have any feedback, they can directly write to us at our email ID. So we will love to answer them. And in future also, we will be organizing more such sessions. So your feedback will be important to us. So Shyam, if you can just conclude the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So overall, I believe after the great deliberation from both the speakers and the Q&A session, there must have been many queries left, but as time is short, time is pressing, so we need to wrap this up. So I would like to thank both the speakers for taking time out from their busy schedule and enlighten all our members and participants with this upcoming area. And would like to thank all the participants also for attending this webinar, and we hope to see you in future. Thank you, everyone.